Good morning and welcome to my kitchen. Today's episode is all about savoury baking. I have got two delicious recipes. First of all, an amazing homemade mini pork pies. They're going to be flavoured with fennel, sage and served with a delicious cider apple and red onion chutney. Following that, and this is what I'm really excited about, I'm going to show you how to make beautiful baps, we call them. Bread rolls, baps, barn cakes, tea cakes, whatever you want to call them. I'm going to show you how to make a delicious one, and then I'm going to turn it into a bacon sandwich. So first of all, we're going to make our pork pies, and with all good pork pies, we need to start with the pastry, and here's how I make it. So I've got my pastry, I've rested it for a couple of hours in my stainless steel containers. These are amazing, you've got to get yourself some of these. Go to cookserveandenjoy.com and look for the Masterclass stainless steel containers. They're a game changer. So I've got my pastry, it's rested. Now, as with the video I just showed you, I actually used a ratio of strong bread flour and plain flour for this pastry, which makes it slightly different. If you want the recipe, scan the QR code, it'll take you to masterclass.co. That's where all our recipes live, and you will find the ratio there. But remember, a little bit of strong flour, bread flour and plain makes for a nice strong pastry to hold our filling. So, filling first. Do you like a pork pie, Emily?
Oh, I love a pork pie.
Do you?
I do, I love a pork pie.
Hot or cold?
Either. I'm partial to either. I mean, they're good. They are good warm.
Jelly or no jelly?
No jelly.
Oh,
no,
really?
No jelly. No.
See, I'm originally from Yorkshire, and they're all about the jelly there.
Oh,
But this recipe, no jelly today.
Yay.
So, I've got 400 grams of Cumberland sausage meat. And the reason why I've used Cumberland sausage meat is it is well seasoned. It's got full of flavour. I've cut them out of the skins, and they're ready to go. I've then taken 200 grams. Now, I went to see my butcher, and I said I want some gammon trimmings, all right? It's like half the price of a gammon steak or a gammon joint, because they always end up with a few little trimmings here and there. So go into your butcher and ask for 200 grams of trimmings of gammon. If you can't get that, use bacon. I've blitzed it in the food processor, and I've mixed it in there. Now, we're going to season this up with fennel seeds. Pork and fennel work so well together. They are just the combination that are made for each other. Okay, that slight aniseed flavour works really well. In with the seeds, and then got some sage. Okay, fresh sage. I've just picked it from the garden. Just going to get my scissors, and I'm just going to roll it up and snip it in. Now, if you haven't got fresh sage, but you have got dried, no problem. Just use a little bit of dried. I would go maximum a teaspoon, because sage can become very metallic in flavour if you put too much in. And when you dry it, it intensifies the flavour massively. So, but sage, I find, grows in the garden really, really easy. It's one of those herbs, you just plant it and leave it. It comes back every year.
Yeah,
it's great. It's the gift that keeps giving. Right, hands in. And mix together the gammon, the sausage, the fennel seeds, and the sage leaves. And that is our filling. Now, little tip for you as well. If you just want a nice sort of meatloaf, no pastry, pop that into a loaf tin, cover it in foil and bake it. It's delicious. Ooh. Really, really good. Okay, so that is our filling.
So could this be a base filling to add extra flavour, extra flavours?
Do you know what you could go Christmassy? You could add dried cranberries, you could add apricots, prunes, you name it. You can kind of go all over the place with it if you like. I'm just going to wash my hands. So with our pastry, when you rest your pastry, it's a good idea because it just allows it to sort of, when you're rolling it out, it will not stretch back as much. So resting pastry is a really good thing. I always say rest between every process if you can. So you roll it and cut it, then you rest them. Okay, so we're probably only going to need half of that to begin with. So press it down, give it a fighting chance.
Is it worth making extra batches of pastry to...
Put it in the freezer,
Put it in the
100%,
freezer.
yeah. Squirrel it away. I mean, any pastry, I mean, when I was a kid, when we grew up, any pastry left over, jam tarts.
Yeah.
It was just the default setting, jam tarts.
And at Christmas, mince pies.
Yeah. But yeah, no, definitely. And actually, once you've rolled pastry out and used it, it becomes a little tougher. And I was always taught, when I worked in a bakery in a town called Pocklington, when I was like 20 years old, I think. All the trimmings were then turned into Cornish pasties because they had a bit more strength about the pastry, so they would hold the filling in a bit better. So it's very good to sort of have a container, pastry trimmings, and just chuck it in, and then eventually you can make some great pasties. You know, if you've got a little bit of leftover stew or something like that, it's good for that.
Always get as many out on your first roll.
Yeah, if you can. So let's get a cutter. Now I remember testing this and we needed a pretty big cutter for this.
We did.
If I remember rightly. Maybe not that big. A little bit bigger than that. Let's go with this one. Yeah, right. So let me explain what we're going to do and why we're going to do it. So I'm going to use this Masterclass bunting and my cutter is like that. Can you see that, Emily? Yep. So I'm going to cut a ring out and put it in there. And by the time I push the filling in and the sides up, that will be big enough, okay? But I'll show you a nice little tip on how to do this. So let's cut, so we want 6 to begin with. So I'm going to cut 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that will do for us to begin with. All right, these tins are super non-stick. So we're good there.
Did you just bring it into the overhead of that?
Yeah.
Perfect, yeah. Perfect.
I'm just going to roll this just a little bit bigger. Because that was the biggest cutter, but I want it slightly bigger. Okay.
So could you also make like the actual pork pies and freeze them as well, like
Yeah.
raw as well?
I would, yeah, definitely freeze them raw.
Yeah.
And then bake them fresh, rather than bake them and freeze them. I don't think they're as nice.
Yeah.
And if you're going to make your own homemade, you want them to be as nice as possible, don't you?
Absolutely.
So.
What's the best ever filling that you've ever had in a pork pie?
So glad you asked me that question. Once I was booked to go to the Rhubarb Festival in Wakefield.
Oh, wow.
Because in Yorkshire there is the Rhubarb Triangle, which is Wakefield, Leeds and Wakefield, Leeds, Huddersfield. I want to say Huddersfield. If it's not, please let me know. And there's this triangle in South Yorkshire where all the best rhubarb is cooked. And they have a festival and they celebrate rhubarb. And I had the most amazing pork pie with rhubarb.
Oh, I can see that being really nice.
Maybe next year in February we'll do rhubarb pork pies again.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. So all I'm going to do is just push those in a little bit. Okay. I'm just going to do that one again because it's torn. It's my big fat fingers. Okay. So if one tears, don't wing it. Roll it out again. And make sure it doesn't tear.
I love the fresh ones from like Cranston's and can't beat one.
See, I always found in Leeds what they used to do when I worked in Leeds is they'd have warm pork pie with mushy peas.
Oh.
And I just find that really odd.
Yeah, that's a bit of an odd combination, isn't it?
Warm pork pies are good,
We'll never win them.
but they're warm out of the oven, not reheated for me.
Yeah.
And they used to reheat them, and I was like, not sure about that.
No.
Anyway, so let's just cut that one out, and we'll do the next one. Now, I have got 5 pairs of tickets for BBC Good Food Show to give away over this series. So, if you fancy winning some tickets, please like, share, and comment on this video. It will enter you into a draw, and you can come down to BBC Good Food Show and see me and the guys at Masterclass, because they're going to have a stand there. You can get your hands on all the equipment. It'll be really, really good. Okay, so beaten egg. Let's brush the sides before we put the filling in, so we're not messing about, and it's nice and easy to do. Okay.
Could you make? So you've made little individual ones.
Yeah.
Could you make this into, you know, like a big pie?
You could make it into a bigger pie if you wanted
work the
to.
same?
Yeah. If you wanted to. Cut it into wedges.
Yeah.
Put lattice on the top if you want. I mean, it kind of, you know, whatever works for you, really. But I quite like the little individual ones because you get a good pastry to filling ratio.
Yeah.
So, just golf ball size. In we go. You could have these as well. These would be nice just with your dinner. You could do like, I did loads of pies the other week for my mother and father-in-law and just put them into the freezer. They are a really good thing to be able to make up. You know, if you've gone to the trouble to make your pastry and you might as well make some extras for the freezer, because I think that's how it makes things a little more cost effective, worth your time and effort, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so they don't look much like pork pies yet, but don't worry. Let's put those to one side, and then let's get some more pastry. And some coffee. Cooking and coffee. Or should I say baking and coffee?
Yeah.
All good. Have you been to the BBC Good Food Show before?
Oh, I think I have, but I feel like since COVID, it's going to be exciting.
It's all a blur, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be exciting for you to be back.
Okay, so 6 pies, 6 tops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we've got 6 tops now. Now here's the thing that gets a little bit different for me. Lift your pie out, put your lid on like that, which means you can run your hands around and get a nice crimp on it, okay? This is a little bit different, this technique, from what you might have seen before. And once you've got that, really, once you've sort of sealed it, then squeeze the edges together. Can we see this all right, Emily? Yeah? And then I'm just going to turn the pie over. So it's almost like making ravioli now.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
And then I'm going to cut it. Same size cutter again. And then I'm going to turn the pie up. I'm going to crimp it like so. So I've got 2 fingers, a finger and a thumb, and then another finger goes between, like that. See? And it's almost like a freestanding pie. But if you put that in the oven as it was, it wouldn't work. But once you pop it into there, it holds its shape and it holds the crimp really, really nicely. Okay?
Okay. Could you just move that thing of pastry out of the way, just so we can see your crimping style?
So I'm going to put my pastry in there, and that will go in the freezer for some lovely pasties, because what I'm going to do is make a really nice beef stew. I'm going to use my favourite ingredient, which is ox cheek. I'm going to slow cook it, and then whatever's left over, we'll make into pasties for a rainy day. Studio lunch.
So make sure I'm in the office for that one.
So, you see that all right?
Yeah.
We're just squeezing the edges together. Once you've got them connected, turn it over. And then cut and flip it over, and then we'll crimp. You could use it, I mean, some people just use a fork to crimp, but I quite like to make sure we've got these nice little pieces like that, and then pop it in there. There we go. The lambs outside are very smug today because we're not cooking lamb. You can hear them out there. Yeah. They're like, it's all right today, guys, it's pork. Yeah. Okay, so turn it over. So just crimp, this is the last one now, so we're just crimping those edges. You get a bit sticky, get your hand in the flour, and just pinch it, squeeze it shut. There we go. That's it, and then cut. We'll flip it over, and then finger and thumb, and just pinch it shut so it looks like that. Okay, and then pop it in. So what we'll do is we'll get our remaining beaten egg, and we'll just brush these so they have a nice glaze. And then we're going to bake these in the oven, 170 degrees fan. So I use AEG ovens, so they're fan ovens, so they're really good consistent heat. And they will bake really for about 25 to 30 minutes until they are golden and crispy. So they are all nice and glazed up. One final thing to do is to put, in fact, a little hole in the top. The reason for this is you want the steam to escape, because if you don't give it an escape route, it will force one, and that's when your pastry cracks. So a little twist, twist, and then into the oven. Right, pies are in the oven. Time to make this super easy chutney. We've got a couple of red onions. I'm using red because of the colour. So we're just going to chop them nice and small because we want it to cook quickly. The smaller you cut it, the quicker this whole chutney will be. And the idea is to get it all ready while the pies are baking so that you can try it warm. Makes it good. So chopping onions, we basically cut them in half and then we run our knife along one side, leaving this little bit here so that it doesn't cut all the way through. And then we cut horizontally through like that. And then just pinch the onion together and chop. Trim up all the last little bits, so we'll put that onion to one side, and then we've got one more. So we'll go through it again if you like. So cut your onion in half, and you'll see when I've peeled it, I've left the core on. That holds the onion together, really important. Part one. And then slice 3/4 of the way in, and then same horizontally, like that. And then just pinch it together and run your knife through. Ooh, this onion's getting me.
Oh no.
Oh, quick! What are the chances of me getting asked now, how do you chop an onion without crying?
Yeah, well, yeah. Oh, looking. Whoa. It panics me.
That one's a strong one, that. Right, I've got a non-stick pan on, a shallow one, so I've got a nice, decent surface area. I'll pop that in. No oil. You don't need oil for a chutney. Okay?
What would an oil do to a chutney?
Well, it'll kind of make it sort of greasy.
Oh, okay.
So we've salt in. And then just the salt will start to draw the moisture out straight away. I'm going to add some star anise because it just works so well. If you can't get star anise, use a little bit of Chinese 5-spice. That works quite well, but not too much. Just a little hint, or maybe some fennel seeds. So I've got a Bramley apple, so a cooking apple here.
Can you use any other apples, or?
Yeah, the only reason why I use Bramley is it breaks down. So when you don't end up with big chunks of apple in there. But to be honest, I mean, if that doesn't bother you, then it's no problem. So I wonder if the dog's going to hear the apple being cut. Usually does, doesn't she? Right, straight in with the apple as well. Let's get the whole thing going. Now, if you have any questions at all, please do post them in the comments below. Here comes the dog, told you. Put them in the comments below and I will answer them as best I can. That's why I'm here. I like to be able to help everyone cook better food. Everyone always has a question of some sort, and it's always really nice to be able to sort of chat with everyone while the show's on. So, in with our apple last piece. I always find it's worth making this as well. A tablespoon of this in your gravy for Sunday dinner. Even if you're using Bisto, this will make it taste so much better. Hello, Pip. Fancy seeing you here. Hey? Fancy seeing you here. You want some apple? Come on then. Yeah. There we go. Wash my hands. Right. Let that cook down. That's it, Pip. That's all you're having. Right. Soft brown sugar. In it goes. And then the two liquids. So I've got some dry cider. So that's kind of reinforcing the apple flavour. And then I've got some red wine vinegar for acidity. Okay, so are we ready to pour this in, Emily?
We are.
Yeah? You got the camera angle you so desire?
I have.
Good, right, let's crank the heat up a little bit. Once the apples will start to give out liquid and that will stop the frying process. And you can see there straight away the sugar is dissolving in the apple liquid. And then all we need to do is add, it's important I think, dry cider, not a sweet cider. Okay?
Is that because you've already got the sugar and...
Yeah, you just want the appley flavour. I mean, if you don't want to use cider or you don't have it in the house, use apple juice. You could even just use vinegar if you want to. It's optional. And then I've got some red wine vinegar in there just to balance the acidity out. Because a good chutney is sweet and sour. And it's kind of that. It's, you know, it's not too sweet, but it's got that kind of little tang that just cuts through the richness of cheese if you're eating it with cheese, or on our little pork pies. So we'll crank the heat up, and we then just need to boil and reduce that liquid down by about 75%. Okay, and the apples will break down and dissolve, and the onions will be soft, and you will have yourself an amazing chutney. Our pies are golden and crisp. Look at that. Our chutney is ready. It is reduced. You can see how much liquid has gone. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to transfer it into my stainless steel storage containers because it's perfect for that. I'm going to leave the star anise in there because it's just going to continue to give out flavour. Okay? Pop that into there. There we've got our chutney, and then I'm just going to lift these pies out. Now, while they're warm is the best time. Obviously, leave them to cool a little bit. And because the pan is super non-stick, they just come out really easily. There we go. Pop that over there. And then I'm gonna have to try one, aren't I? I feel like we're going to have to try this, Emily.
Yep, sounds good to me.
Let me just cut through.
Oh, look at that flaky pastry.
There we go.
Oh.
Get some of your chutney. Pop that on there. And that on there. I'll pass that one over to you, Emily.
Delish.
I'm going to have a little nibble there. That. You have got to make these little pies. They are absolutely delicious. If you want the recipe, scan the QR code along the bottom. It will take you straight to the masterclass.co website. You'll find this recipe and all our others there. Thank you very much for watching. Now it's time for the next recipe. Now it's time to make my amazing, beautiful bread rolls. They're an absolute classic. They're a staple. If you want to make bread, you need to be able to make these. We're going to turn them into the most amazing bacon sandwich. I have found black treacle cured bacon for this, Emily.
Oh.
Sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you how to make it yourself in a little while. But I used to do it years and years ago, and it was the most amazing bacon sandwich. But to make our bread dough, now I've made it ready because you guys have seen me make bread dough a million times. The only difference with this is we have used milk instead of water to hydrate it, and we've added 10 grams of butter. This is 250 grams of strong flour, okay? 5 grams of yeast, 1 teaspoon of salt, 200 mils of milk, and a teaspoon of sugar. Mix it all together, knead it for 10 minutes, and you will have this, a dough, okay? This will make 4 perfect bread rolls, okay? But you can see it's proved and it's stretchy, yeah? There's no flour on the worktop here. All I've done is just give it a good knead, and this is now going to knock the air out, okay? Now, to make really consistent bread rolls, it's important that you weigh your dough, all right? So I want to know what my total weight is. So I'm 401 grams. So I'm going to make 4 bread rolls. Each one of them needs to be 100 grams, okay? So all we're going to do, obviously, is cut it into quarters and see if each one is 100 grams. And that really is, many professional bakers will do this by eye and they'll be bang on. But when you're at home, you just need to weigh it out. There's 100 grams. So have a look at that one, 99. There we go. Look at that one, 94. 98, 2 more grams, and we're good. Okay, so I now know that I have got 4 portions at 100 grams. Now, to make these into good bread rolls, take your piece of dough, put it in your hand, put on your hand on top, and then just, can we see this all right, Emily?
Yeah.
Just start to move it. Which camera are we on?
Overhead. And
overhead.
there, yeah.
So we're like that at the moment.
Yeah.
And then as you start to roll it, so I'm moving my hand anti-clockwise and I'm trying to keep my bottom hand still, and then start to close the top hand up like that, yeah?
A little bit for me, there we go. Perfect.
And as you then close your hand, what happens is you end up with a perfect bread roll, okay? So put that down, I'll do it again. So flat, 2 hands flat together like that, yeah? Can you see that? Turn the top one anti-clockwise. I think I do anti-clockwise because I'm left-handed. Would you do it clockwise?
I would do it clockwise if
right.
I was...
So the weirdos out there that are right-handed, do it clockwise. And then close your hand up so you're kind of encasing the bread roll.
That feels really weird.
Like that, yeah? And you've got a bread roll. Do the same again. You can also do it on the worktop as well if you want. You do it like that. Lots of people do it like that. But I find it easier with 2 hands.
You can get the feel for the shape of it.
Yeah. You? And then you've got 4 consistent bread rolls that are nice, tight. The seal is underneath on the bottom, the crease. And that's where you want it, okay? So I'm going to put it onto my non-stick baking tray. These are the Masterclass vertical stack bakeware. Really non-stick, really good. Once you've got them on there, leave them for 30 minutes to double in size. Now, today it's really warm in the studio kitchen, so they will react much quicker, okay? So it's important that you use your own judgment, because you might be watching this in January in the depths of winter and things won't happen as quickly. So it's very much about use your eye, use your judgment. They need to be spongy and aerated and puffed up double in size. And what we'll do before we leave them to prove is we're going to brush them with egg. Just beaten egg, not yolk. Don't use just yolk on bread because it will burn. It's too high a temperature. You want to use just plain beaten egg and do it before they prove, because if you do it afterwards, you run the risk of deflating them. So it's important to get them on now while they're tight and underproofed, so that as they stretch and prove, the glaze stretches with it. And I'm just going to pop some poppy seeds on here, because Poppy will be very impressed if they have poppy seeds on them. When she was a baby, when she was young, everything had to have poppy seeds on it. And then when Thomas came along, he wanted to know why he didn't have a seed named after him. So we had to come up with Tommy seeds. Just to keep the house calm. So once they have proved and doubled in size, you want to bake them in the oven, 190 degrees, for about 20 minutes until they are beautiful and golden. I have got some ready baked, so I'll just swap them out. So look at these ones. They look good, don't they? Because we've used the beaten egg, they've got that wonderful glaze. I mean, it's such a simple thing, but when it's done right and done well, they're great. And everyone should be able to make a good bread roll, and then you can do what you like with it. You can add flavours to it. You can do it plain. You can do it whatever you like. Right. Black treacle cured bacon, thick cut.
Oh.
We mean business today. We're not messing about. Not messing about at all. So I've got a non-stick pan on the heat. Let's get a little bit of oil in there, and we're going to get this bacon cooking. Nothing better than a nice bread roll with bacon. Nice treat. Okay, let's get this on the heat. Now, if you have any questions about today's recipes, please do post them in the comments below. And also, if you want to enter a competition to win one of 5 pairs of tickets for the BBC Good Food Show this year at the NEC in November, I'll be there cooking. Masterclass will be there with an amazing stand. All the products will be there. You'll be able to see them, touch them, hold them, order them, and they can be delivered home for you or whatever. So it's really, really great prize. Make sure you like, comment, and share on this video. And we have also now got an app. So if you go to your app store, Google or Android, I have an app called Peter Sidwell's Kitchen. It's all my recipes and all the episodes of the TV series are all there in the app. And I will also be sending out notifications each week to tell you when we're about to go live, because I know some people say on the feed, oh, I didn't get a notification today on Facebook, and I don't have an answer for you on that. But I do have a solution. Download my app, and then you'll get an extra message. Okay? So, there's no escaping me.
No.
In with our bacon. Is that not the most amazing sound?
Absolutely. Gammon steak, some slices.
Oh, it's thick cut.
Loading.
It's the good stuff. I like to spoil you, Emily. It's the good stuff. Right, where's my chopping board? Carlos can smell bacon. Looks good. Right, bacon's cooking. Let's have a look at these bread rolls. Because of the milk that we've used to make the dough, they've got a lovely soft crumb in the centre. I better make 2, hadn't I, Emily?
Yeah.
Or even 3. Now, if you want to make bigger bread rolls as well, or more, just double the recipe, treble the recipe, quadruple the recipe if you want. Make them and freeze them. They will freeze perfectly. They're great for any kind of sandwich that you're doing. Let's turn this bacon over. Would you look at that, Emily?
Wow.
You're right, it's like gammon, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good bacon, that. So yeah, they will freeze perfectly, and that is a great way to sort of save a little bit of money. Making your own bread, it's easy, it's cheap, and it is way tastier. Once you've made your own bread, you kind of won't want to go back. Now, if you want any of the equipment that I've used today as well, please go to cookserveandenjoy.com. That is where all the Masterclass equipment, and Masterclass are my sponsors for this show. They help me make this show every week for you. So do me a favour, nip over to their website, have a little look, see what there is. Lots of it will be really familiar to you, I'm sure. Having great equipment in the kitchen makes cooking so much easier. Right, Miss Gray, which do you fancy?
Oh, surprise me.
Okay, so let's pop that one in there. Oh, this is proper bacon. Love good bacon. Really nice. Take the top of your bacon. Top of your bread. Look at that. Can you see that, Emily?
Oh, yeah.
That's flavour. Don't let that go. Ooh. This should come with a warning, because it's that good. Now,
I'm gonna ruin it.
the ultimate question. I'd like to do a little poll actually today. Brown or red?
Boo! Yay!
You choose, you vote. I'm going brown all the way. Brown all the way for me.
What are your bacon dripping all about?
Look at that. Proper bacon sandwich, that. And there we go. That is how to make the most incredible bacon sandwich. It is bacon cured in treacle, and it is served up in a perfect little bread roll that is enriched with milk and butter. It's absolutely delicious. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode, and I will see you on the next show.
Dripping brown sauce.
Wow. Hit the credits.